Hey guys, welcome to Sippin and Spillin with Sid. It is Wednesday. We had issues yesterday. We ended up not filming Sippin and Spillin together like we planned. So I'm gonna fill you in on what's going on. So we got a new GoPro and we haven't, I guess, got all the pieces quite dialed in. And so with every camera and things like that, there's always, a bit of a learning curve. And Mike spent some time one day when we first got it kind of dialing in all the settings and figuring out what does what. And I did the same for certain things as well. But we hadn't tried to film anything with it other than like test shots where we were like, check, 1, 2, right? So anyway, come to find out, he was going to grab it yesterday. He and Frankie were going to go to the neighbor's pond to go fishing to catch some fish to put into our pond to kind of like stock it. And so, which, spoiler alert, that video of us actually going fishing as a family is coming out on Friday this week. But they decided they were going to go fishing last night after she got back from school. And he was going to take a break with her and go out there and do that. So they were going to take the GoPro with them and go do it, because if you had been watching, Mike got really angry at his phone and he was like, I'm not filming anything on my phone. I was just starting to make dinner and he's like, we'll film Sippin' and Spillin', because I had asked him, I was like, hey, should I film it? Because things were kind of like chaotic the first half of this week. I said, hey, should I film it by myself or you want to film it? And he's like, no, Frankie and I'll film it. Then he's like, well, we'll film it when we get back, because we couldn't figure out how to attach it to the tripod. And so I'm trying every combination of everything to attach it to this tripod. Come to find out, there's a piece that's like aftermarket that you have to buy that has the 1/4-inch thread that is like the universal thread for every screw top transitional. Yes, we know you're here. He's like, do not ignore me. For every transitional kind of tripod you could get or stationary thing for the GoPro. So whereas the other GoPro we had, that wasn't a problem. It had the thing on the bottom and you just plugged it into whatever. So anyway, or I guess the case did, but the mod case doesn't have that. I don't know. It's like a whole thing. I'm not good at that sort of stuff. Anywho, so he was like, well, we'll film it when we get back. When he got back, we dumped the fish into the pond, which we didn't film any of that because it was dark by that point. And dinner was ready. And I was like, let's just go down and do this and check out what you guys caught. And anywho, so we did that and got that all squared away down at the pond. And so we didn't film Sippin' and Spillin' yesterday because then that ended up not happening. So I'm filming Wednesday Sipping and Spilling by myself. Well, I guess I'm not by myself. I'm never alone with Mr. Bunk. Never alone with Mr. Bunk. But it definitely threw the schedule off a little bit. And then off and on this week, I just haven't been feeling quite right. I had a migraine on Monday morning. I actually ended up getting Frankie up, and then going back to bed and taking like some headache medication, which I do not get migraines that often, like super few and far between. So it's kind of unusual for me. And I was feeling a little bit like nauseous from it or whatever. And I thought maybe I'm coming down with something. And then I didn't feel really well for about an hour after I got up that morning. So I went back to bed and got up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and my throat was kind of sore. And then for an hour, like my throat was sore for an hour, and then it stopped and it went away. And I was like, oh, I guess my throat's not sore anymore. Yesterday, pretty uneventful, felt fine. Today, I was working out, and towards the end of the first half of my workout before I went for my run, I got super dizzy, nauseous, and had to go lay down. And so I'm still a little queasy right now. I feel like I'm trying to fight something off, to be honest. I feel like I've been around a lot of people over the last several weeks that have been sick and whatever, and I feel like my body's just trying to fight it off, and it's like winning, but not 100% winning. So, but the Wednesdays are too busy. I don't have time to be sick on Wednesday. So I'm I'm sipping on water, and I'm powering through. It's one of the reasons why it's nice out right now. It's the calm before the storm, guys. We're supposed to get hammered today. Hammered. And I was going to walk around with you guys because it's nice out right now. But I feel like walking and the movement for me right now would not be the best thing. So we're going to sit. We're going to sit here. We're going to be calm. But we do have our live tonight, guys. So I'm excited to see you guys tonight. Hopefully I will have perked up a bit by then. I know I might seem perked up now, but it is 100% a facade at the moment. There is nothing more that I would like than to be curled up back in the fetal position in bed, holding my head. But as an adult, sometimes we don't get that option. So I have to run the kid around later. We've got our live tonight. I had to film this, and the weather right now is going to be perfect before the rain starts. We're going to actually go out and burn some of the brush that's around the pond. Mike's been wanting to do that pretty much since we moved here, but it's one of those things that it's like, you got to do it. You got to kind of plan it and then like have the right time frame for it and do all that. So we're just kind of at that point where today's the day, I guess, and he's decided he wants to do it. So we're gonna do that, and then there's a section of the creek that potentially this weekend or maybe next weekend we might burn a section of to start clearing out a little bit to make access right there a little bit easier to get in and out. So sorry guys, I need a sip of water. I am okay. I'm okay. Just kind of comes in waves. So this is what happens when I get a migraine. I get like afterwards. So hopefully we're gonna be able to get that burned a little bit later. Of course, there's no wind until I come outside, and then it gets windy. And I know between the wind sounds and everything, and then of course my wind chimes, which some of you love and some of you hate. It's a mixed bag, as is most things on the interweb. You got your everybody loves it or everybody hates it, but that's, hey, it is what it is. I've come to the conclusion in my 40 some odd years that you cannot please everybody, and you just have to just do the best you can some days. And today I am doing the best I can. This is it. So there you have it. But yeah, we're in a flood watch, I always forget the difference. I can't remember what the alert said, if it was a flood watch or a flood warning. I believe it's a flood watch, not a warning. It's like, pay attention. But if you've watched any of our videos in through Mississippi, you know that we're up a little bit on a hill. So as far as immediate flooding into our property where the house is concerned, we're not as worried about that. But it still becomes a muddy mess. And this grass is fixing to need to be mowed here in a minute. It's sprouting up. Spring is a coming. And I know we've got some more nasty weather on the way before it's all said and done. But it is getting long. It's starting to get a little hairy out there, and I'll try to show you guys in a minute, because it's actually kind of lovely out there right now with these little, Mike told me what they're called, some little flower that is like the first thing that pops up when the season starts to change. That's this little white and purpley flower, and it's beautiful. And it just kind of looks like, when you're far away from it, it looks like a dusting of snow over the grass in certain areas. It's kind of neat. But, oh, I know. I had news as well. I don't know if it's how big a news it is. Some of you might care. Those of you might remember I brought some of my peafowl and my geese out here, as well as a couple of my most prized chickens. And sadly, we had a predator attack after a couple months of being here. And long story short, all but one of my geese made it through that attack. They just slaughtered everybody. And the goose that I thought survived, I had 2 boys and I had 2 girls. And the goose that I thought that survived was Harrison. And it's really difficult with Sebastopol geese. It's very difficult to tell their breed without venting that, or their sex without venting them. And when they were all together, I could easily tell which one was which. But when you're looking at one by itself without the comparisons, it's really hard to tell. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you're Harrison, but I'm not 100%. Well, it's not Harrison because I went out there to collect eggs because my other chickens that I've gotten are laying, and there's a big old goose egg. So I was like, you were Millie after all, because I was on the fence. I was like, it's either Millie or it's Harrison, because those two always kind of held themselves the same way and had very similar personalities. And I'm like, yep, you're Millie. So Millie's laid 2 eggs now that are obviously not fertilized because I do not have a male with her, which is a bummer. I do intend to get some more because I do want to have babies. But because they're not fertilized and there's no hope of me turning those into babies, I did go ahead and eat the first one the other night, and it was the most delicious egg I've ever had in my life. Like, beats duck eggs, beats, like, it was buttery like a duck egg, but sweeter is the only way I could describe it. It has like a sweetness to it. Excuse you, sir. Why are you just waking up and choosing violence? Because nobody's paying attention to you. So I was excited to be able to try it, because in the past, whenever I've had like peafowl eggs or goose eggs, I've incubated them all, or I've let them sit on them because I wanted the babies, because they only lay such a small amount of eggs a year. So when I got this goose egg, I was like, oh, I get to try it. And it's delicious. So I might get, if I'm lucky, I might get like maybe 10 out of her if I'm lucky before she stops laying again. We'll see. We'll see. Because I know when they were laying and had boys around, they ended up, between the 2 girls, they ended up laying a clutch of, I think it was like 15 or 16. But they built their nest in like the middle of a random spot, and it ended up, we had some inclement weather that came through and the eggs ended up not making it. So that was a bummer. But these ones I get to eat and enjoy. So it's good stuff. I'm excited about that. He's just over here being like violence kitten of death. Bless his heart. But yeah, it's you're so funny. He really is funny. But anyway, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting through this storm and things drying out enough by the time they are ready to work more on the chicken coop this weekend. Hopefully, I know there's going to be some tornado warnings, potentially tornado watches. When this storm hits, it's supposed to be severe thunderstorms and flooding and all that stuff. So hopefully everybody in its path makes it through it okay and it's not too terribly awful. And hopefully we can get some things done this weekend, some major progress on the chicken coop. I'm okay. I'm okay. And be able to get the burn done in the areas that Mike wants to get done today around the pond, and then plan when we want to do the other burn around the creek, I suppose, and get it all just kind of rocking and rolling in the right direction, I suppose, with that. But yeah, this storm does have me a little nervous just because it's supposed to be so much rain at once. From the sounds of it, it sounds like, now so far since we've been here, the most rain we've had in one storm was 4 inches in one night. That's the most we've had. Which reminds me, I need to empty the rain gauge because I didn't do that yet from the last time it rained. I'm curious to see if this is going to be more, since we didn't really have flood warnings with that storm. And I feel like 4 inches is a noticeable amount for most people. I would think that that's a lot of rain to get in one storm. So I think that potentially maybe it's going to be like 6 inches of rain. I don't know. Like, I don't know where they draw the line there. So I'll be curious to see how much rain we actually end up getting with that. And hopefully nothing gets too flooded and mudded. There are some areas, excuse me, in front of the shop and kind of in front of like where the tractors are parked underneath the overhang of the shop that do tend to get fairly muddy and like pools of water. And that kind of all sort of sloshes over into the back end area of where, not the actual chicken coop build, but like the back end of it, which makes, if you have to get equipment or, you know, tools and things over there, that can make that a little bit challenging. So hopefully there's enough of a dry out period between then and when he is able to start working on it on Saturday that it doesn't create too much of an issue, and hopefully it's, you know, well, I don't know. The last time they said we were supposed to have this big bad storm hit our area hard, it didn't really happen. So I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes it comes right around our town and it doesn't hit us. So I guess we'll see what happens, but I don't know. But guys, busy night tonight with the live with y'all. So I'm excited about that. Probably let Mike do most of the talking tonight because I'm gonna be talking now, and I don't know how I'll be feeling then, but we'll see. And but I'll be there with bells on, which is such a weird expression when you think about it, but there you go. But yeah, I look forward to the live tonight with you guys. We've got a really great video coming out Friday. We are going to, I believe, we might film a little bit for you guys of us burning around the pond and talking about that with Mike and I for a Sippin Spillin later this week. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'm a little nervous about just like, I don't know. I think it's the growing up in California where like if you had a fire, that meant it was spreading everywhere and everybody was gonna die. Whereas out here, everybody just burns stuff all the time. They'll just like burn a patch of brush or burn a field or because it needs to be done, which I get, totally understand. I'm just so used to the whole like, you can't do that because it's going to spread. And then, but everything's so well rained on and wet here. It's not such a tinderbox like it is in California, at least in the area of California we're from, where it's just, you know, we have fire seasons there, which basically goes from like, let's see, it usually starts up in around like May and it goes really hits hard in like June, July, and then it goes all the way through October, sometimes into November. That's fire season. So now I've traded fire season for tornado season, but tornado season's just shifted a little bit, I guess, from that. It's pretty similar. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I'm going to show you this as I say goodbye to you. I'm going to show you these flowers I was telling you about behind me. But I hope that you all are able to join us. See if you guys can see them. Hopefully. It just kind of looks like snow on the ground, but it's kind of neat. So hopefully you guys can join us for the live tonight. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We are so thankful that you are following us on our journey out here in Mississippi, and we look forward to many more adventures and sharing them with you, and we will see you guys on the next one. Bye.